Hi YouTubers, and welcome to my YouTube channel, The World I Live In, where it's all about personal growth and development. Today I want to share something very important with you, something that I believe has affected most of us, especially during this lockdown. Don't forget to subscribe, to comment, to share, and invite as many people as possible. Well, I have two ladies here, and these ladies have taken a drastic decision, something that is very rare in most cases, but they have done something that most of us would be afraid to do, and that is homeschooling. We will be sharing about homeschooling, but first I would like you to introduce yourselves.
I'm Evelyn Kent. I'm an accountant, now a politician, and I'm happy to be here.
Welcome, Evelyn.
Thank you.
I'm Doreen Tugomisirize. I'm an economist, and I'm happy to be here.
Okay, yeah. That is very interesting. They are women that are professional. They are very professional women, but they did something that actually amazed me, and that is they took a decision to homeschool their children. Now, it's not every day that somebody wakes up and chooses to homeschool their children. And especially if you're in this part of the world, that is in Africa, we have heard about homeschooling, but this has been basically in the Western world. Today we have it here in Africa and in Uganda, our country. But most importantly, the lockdown, COVID-19 came with so many changes, and there are many parents that are taking on homeschooling. So they will be here to enlighten us more about homeschooling. And I want to start with the first question. Why would somebody think about homeschooling in the first place? Why homeschooling to you, Evelyn? Why homeschooling?
I perceive we all have different reasons why we would want to homeschool. I personally was done doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Case scenario myself, while I was a child, I always desired to be a pilot. However, I ended up becoming an accountant. I had a good job. I was working in a bank. It was a nice job, but it's not something I really loved. It's not something I would be so proud to say I am a banker. You know, I am an accountant. I preferred being a pilot because that was my dream. And also, I observed the trend, what led me there and how did I end up there. And I imagined this is the same thing happening to my children if I only allow them grow and go through the trend the same way I did.
The set traditions
the everything was just, I perceive it is what made me take this path of accounting vis-a-vis piloting. So because of that, there are quite a number of other dynamics. However, that was the main reason. I kept looking at my children, then my desires. I desired a better life. I wanted my children to have the best in life, and I knew for as long as I still pursue the same path that for my children that I took, I knew the results were going to be the same. It's like expecting something new, yet you're taking the same old path with old norms, old everything. Yeah, that was my main drive. I needed something new, out of the ordinary, and I wanted my children to be totally different from all the others, to outshine what was out there.
For how long have you been doing this? Since how long have you been homeschooling your children?
It's been a year and a half. I started 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this year, so it means that your children are at a better advantage. They've never stopped going to school?
No.
Given that they are being homeschooled?
Yes.
Okay, that's quite interesting. So, Dora, just take me through, I wonder why? Why homeschool your children? There's a reason why schools are out there. They're supposed to help us do some of these things that you are burdening yourself with. Why choose to homeschool your kids?
Thank you. Firstly, it's not a burden. I actually enjoy it.
Okay.
And if I take you to the Bible, allow me. The Bible says, study these laws when you sleep, when you wake up, when you lay down. And I felt on my heart that it was my responsibility as a mother to teach the children. Yes. And then also I had interacted with children who had been homeschooling before I started a family, and I really admired their character, their habits, and I just knew this is what I want for my kids. Like before starting a family, I knew I had to homeschool. I just knew it, that there's no way I would get the kind of kids I'd been interacting with when I met homeschooled families. Yeah, so for me it was right away from the
So
start.
right from the start,
Yes.
you determined that
Yes.
my children will be homeschooled.
Yes.
For how long have you been doing this? How is your eldest?
My eldest is 10.
She's 10.
Yes.
You've homeschooled
We've
her
homeschooled.
since.
Yes.
So, okay, that is quite interesting. 10 years doing
10
homeschooling.
years. And I have 4 children, so all the rest have also been homeschooled.
Okay.
So they've not stepped out into the regular schools.
Okay.
And so far, I like the product.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the product.
Okay.
I like what I'm seeing.
Okay, that's quite interesting because I was looking at I was looking at some research that was done in the US and about homeschooling. Of course, for them, they've done homeschooling for a very long time, and most of us are just getting into it. And I remember one of the key reasons that I found, the survey pointed to so many things, but one thing that stood out, most parents was saying that the school environment was not conducive for their children, given the disruptions in the US, the drugs, the guns, the gangs and all that. So they felt that that environment was not healthy for their children. And secondly, they spoke about religion, which I would love to term as spirituality. They felt that their children were not receiving enough of what they were actually supposed to get. Because I think during that time, as it has continued, that the US was banning the Bible, banning praying in schools. So towards, I think, the greater part of the past 20 years, it has been more of the evangelicals or the people who are spiritual and Christians wanting their children to have a certain balance spiritually, such that they can go out into the world as you would love maybe more balanced children than those who are in the normal schooling programs. But then I look at it and I am wondering, before you got, at least you planned it from the word go.
Yes.
You intended to homeschool your children. Does that mean you've never held any job? Have you worked before?
I used to work before starting a family. After I started a family, I stepped out of
Okay.
workplace.
So that means that if I want to take on something like this, I have to be intentional, I should be all in, I should purpose to do this. That's what it squarely means.
Not necessarily, because there are some parents who are not able to be there full time, so they'll hire a tutor.
Okay.
But still, the parents should be able to supervise and stay keen on what the children are learning, because also the tutor will bring in her other kind of traits or habits or values. So the parent has to really stay observant
On what the tutor is giving, what the tutor is giving the children.
Yes.
That means I should have an input into what my children are being given.
Yes.
So now back to Kent. I believe you say you started homeschooling your kids like 1 year and a half ago.
I started 2019.
You started in 2019.
Yes.
Other than thinking about what you want your children to have, what are some of those things now that you have, because you have worked before, then you get into homeschooling, what are some of the challenges that you have found with homeschooling? Because they were moving from a secular school and now you're bringing them you're introducing them into homeschooling.
Okay, for starters, I thought homeschooling was so easy. Just jump on board and then that is it. However, it is a full-time job.
Okay.
The beauty is I had resigned my job and decided to come and settle and raise my children because I wanted something unique, something new, out of the ordinary for my babies. And I wanted to put my family first. So the advantage I had is I am there full-time. Then the other challenges, maybe perhaps I would say, I have 4 babies. So I have girls and boys, 2 girls, 2 boys. And homeschool is kind of challenging.
Different ages,
different levels.
Different classes, more or less.
Yes. So homeschooling challenge, some of the challenges are especially teachers. Yeah, many are times to get the best teachers, especially if you're going to teach them yourself, well and good. However, there are those other classes you'd want someone to chip in, and also for your own, because life goes on.
Of course, of course.
So they are at least having tutors all the time.
Okay.
That was in the beginning. That was an issue until I finally got those that would work full time. So I literally employ them the way the school employs.
Would employ them. Okay.
Yes. So they are like full time
Okay.
employees. And then the other challenge would be jumping from one level to another. School is it makes you lazy at home, because at home all you know is that they made breakfast, their food to eat, is the house clean, like your activities at home are kind of limited. However, when you homeschool, it is a full-time schedule at home. So imagine all the activities that had to be done at school now have to be improvised at home.
At home.
Yes. So now at first, when I was switching from this to that, was a bit challenging on how I'm going to run them, because I ideally did not want to limit on the number of activities they participate in. And then secondly, I wanted to develop everyone's skills.
Okay.
I'll give a scenario. My boys, one of them loves football, so I wanted to enroll him in a soccer school. And then there's one who loves guitar. He loves playing instruments. Yeah. So then in the beginning, it appears expensive to jump onto this, because you want the best for your children. So if you're going to buy instruments, you buy the best. You want to buy this, you look out for the best. So in the beginning, it appeared expensive, but I preferred it to school at the end of the day.
To the traditional school.
To the traditional school. Because when I would calculate my figures, the other side, and the figures this end, this was better.
Now the financial
because this is like an investment.
The financial implication.
Yes. The other side, at school, I'll compare like school, it's like leisure if I compare it to homeschool. Because school, you pay for services per term, and every term is fresh. However, here, besides paying the teachers, whatever you buy is full time.
You own it.
You own it. It's like an investment. So if I buy an instrument, it's going to be home for all the children to play and learn at leisure without being limited. Yeah. So the beginning was in terms of how to schedule their activities and their classes. And then secondly, I did not only switch my babies from the traditional schools, but I dropped the whole curriculum.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you develop your own curriculum?
Yes, I did.
You developed your own curriculum.
Yes.
So how does your curriculum look like?
My curriculum mainly is I embrace the prophetic.
Okay.
Because I realized the school develops more of your brain. They focus on the mind and the physical, and yet I realized that what they needed more was more of the inner, the things that we don't usually, actually in school, we focus on these at higher levels. Case scenario, seniors 5, senior 6, that's when they begin to tell you about career guidance, what. Now for me, I wanted it from the word go. And then secondly, I train their instincts. I train I focus on their instincts. I focus a lot. I love them listening to the inner man, the inner them. So I wanted every child to blossom. I wanted to bring out the hidden in them from the word go, and then to realize who they are, get them on board to loving who they are and developing who they are at an early age.
That is very, very, very powerful. And I think for parents out there, it's very important for us to look at our children as individuals and develop that person that she's talking about, developing your inner person. Those are the things that we are struggling with right now as adults, because we don't have a relationship with the inner person. The real person that you are, you have no relationship with them. So you're trying to find yourself in so many different things, and yet this can be developed at an early age. But of course, going back, it's still not an easy thing to develop. I wonder how, Doreen, you are following the same. Is that what you're doing as in your kind of, I don't know whether I should call it a curriculum, but I believe it's something that is unique. And it can't be put together with the normal curriculum, because it won't run like a normal school timetable, because you're looking at different aspects. How do you look at it for your children?
Just like Evelyn, I'm also using a prophetic curriculum or a spiritual curriculum.
Yes.
So my desire is for my children to interact with the natural world from the inside.
From the inside.
From the inside. So for them to be able to solve problems from the spiritual side of themselves. And when I say spiritual, I don't want people to say that it's religious. No. Spirituality is in everyone. It's in everyone. It's the reason you're happy. It's the reason you're joyful. It's the reason you're fearful. It's the reason you're scared. So we cannot run away from our spiritual beings. They are right there. So my desire, or why I homeschool using this model, is to bring out that spiritual side of the child. You remember how it's a puzzle, how a child would perform very well in math. You know, people will say a good teacher, a textbook, DNA, some families whose parents were very good at math. So that's just like 5% of the children. What about the 95? What about the 95? But you see how they say it is fear. She fears math. She fears sciences. She fears this. But imagine if this inside man was nurtured from childhood. So your instinct, who are you? Your conscience, who are you? Who am I? Those things that are in a child, that are in us, you know. So once we overcome all this, a child is able to face anything, anything. Because right now, all these methods that we were told, teachers, textbook, read hard, are now failing. They're now failing. It ends just right there. Afterwards, then what? It's cram work, reproduce, and erase.
And that's it.
That's it.
That's
and
it.
this is not what I want for the children right now. I want them to face life from the inside, develop that spiritual man. Who are you? Can you stand against the crowd? Can you hold a conversation and everyone listens? You know, are you able to listen to yourself and choose the right path? You know, are you able to listen to yourself and cut off all addictions, you know, of TV is not good, let me switch off. Or this book, I read something, it's not good, let me close it.
Let me just close it.
Let me close it. Once that spiritual man is nurtured and is matured,
He's awake.
they're awake, yes.
You're
They're able
awake.
to make such decisions.
Yeah.
You're able to trust them and know that, I know he'll make the right decision when he's 18. You see, yeah.
And
so that's where I'm coming from.
And I think every parent's fear, every parent's fear, when we look at our children, we are wondering how they will fare in this world, especially without us. Because when we are there, we shield them from so many things. But it seems like when you develop a child spiritually, there is nothing that they can't go against. Even when they make the mistake, they will learn from it, other than something that will look like this whole mountain. But the other thing that I would like to understand, if somebody is watching us right now and they're thinking of jumping into this whole homeschooling thing, what is it that you would tell them? That one key that you would tell them? Because you see, when you're transitioning from this, I take my children to the normal school, so they go to an international school. And actually, why I took that decision, I have not crossed the bar like you guys did, but I realized after meeting you that this is something that was very powerful. I realized that traditional schools don't give our children even what I thought was really basic, because we've been in these traditional schools and we know how our lives have turned out. So you always have this where you think your children deserve better. So I chose to take my children to international schools. But you know, after meeting, and of course international schools are good to an extent that they expose the children. They allow them to be more research based other than to be spoon fed all the time. So I liked that aspect of the international school. But then there's something that what you're doing has an edge even over an international school. That a child is allowed to develop their inner abilities by themselves. By themselves. Not really, research is not bad, but there is something that they have to tap into. So I want to know, how do you get a child? How do you get a child to tap into that person, that spiritual person that they are? What are those things that you do within like your curriculum? What is that gives them that confidence to stand out and do that which I feel is right? This is what I want to do. This is what I want to be. what is that you do that helps them connect into that?
You see, the Bible tells us to be like children. It's so interesting how children how they quickly adjust. For my case, it was so easy. I perceive because they had desired it way prior. I desired it first. So by me desiring, I took it to prayer and I started praying about it.
You're a prayerful person, a Christian, and who believes in the prophetic. So for you took it in prayer.
I took it to prayer.
Good.
And the first impact was my girls started picking it up, the ones that were already in schools, in the higher classes. So before I knew it, they desired to be homeschooled. Then they just desired. It's like every time we would attend, there's a fellowship we attend, Zoe Fellowship. And every time they would attend fellowship, there are those moments when they would, like during even Glory to Glory, the time they would have Bible studies. Then there are those moments when they come and tell you, but mommy, Noah built the ark. Did he go to any school to build it? You know? And then there are those moments when they would ask you, you'd ask them something. No, actually, I had an experience with one of my girls, Kotdi. She was at school, and she happened to miss about 1 week. She skipped classes. She would attend like Monday, skip Tuesday, Wednesday, go back Thursday. She was not fine at that time, and because school, due to competition, it was tight. For a child to miss even a day, they had to catch up for that one day. And this particular time, she happened to miss like 4 days in 2 different weeks.
Okay.
So I took her back towards tests, and the teacher told her, Courtney, you've missed this class, so many classes of mine. I don't think you're going to pass this paper.
Really? That's
so
horrible.
she comes back home so bad that she told, Mom, you told me I know it all. I know it all. You know, because they would say, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. And so if he that is in me knows it all, so that means I know it all. And then they could say, me and him are one. So if me and him are one, so I know it all. So she kept saying, why would she tell me I am going to fail this paper? So the moment, and it really bothered her. So the moment I realized it bothered her, I was like, wow, this is nice. So I told her, you see, this is it. If anyone ever tells you don't know something, or you're going to fail it, or you have to read to get it, then that is a sign that there's still something lacking for you to tap into that person that you want to be like. Because the person that you are knows it all. You know, so it's like many a times they would panic, especially my elder girl, when they have tests and they have competitions and she wants to be in the top class. So I realized whatever she was doing was not because she desired to do it, but not because she wanted, but it was all about the others. So then I wanted to erase the fact of the others. I want you to enjoy what you're doing. I want you to feel it. I want to enjoy every step. I want you to like live in the moment. So so I kind of, that's one of the things that triggered me to really desire them this path of the inner man. And also the other bit of them knowing it all. It was all about, I know it all. I have to do this.
These are positive confessions.
Yes, they did this. I have to do it. And then they could say, then there are those moments when they will tell, but mommy, the Lord moves from glory to glory to glory. And then he says that our days, the latter days shall be greater than the former days. That means I should be in position to do greater things than were done those days. So many a times they would compare themselves to the saints. And then there's the religion calls them saints, so I don't know. And so they would compare themselves to what Noah did. Then who is this Peter who walked on water? They're like, how come we can't do this? Okay. So it's like we had such a deeper craving. They did it.
You had it, and the children had
developed it.
Okay.
With time.
Okay. And you know, it's quite unfortunate. I think sometimes the people we trust our children with, and it's not only those people that we trust our children with as teachers, even we, the parents ourselves, there are certain words that we keep on saying to our children. And sometimes they are not intended. We don't think about the impact, but you can imagine your child leaving school, coming home, and that is all that she had on her mind. That shows how much that did impact her, how it pushed her to start seeing and thinking in so many different ways. So, well, to all our YouTubers, I'm still with Evelyn and I'm still with Dora. and we are still discussing the concept of homeschooling. Watch us in our next video as we share more about the impact of homeschooling, the stigma, and so much more. See you in our next video.